All right, welcome back to another Mango Voice YouTube video with Nancy. And Nancy and I are talking about all the different tips and tricks we have on the phone. So welcome back to another conversation, Nancy.
Absolutely. Great to be here. Love these.
So what we're going to do is, or what we've been doing is we're just breaking down phone call skills, phone call tips, phone call etiquette. Nancy knows everything about patient financing and all the financial world. And it really starts on the phone call, like when patients are asking questions. So let's talk about what you brought up on this one is giving a range. So a lot of times a patient calls in and they want to know how much something is. And we kind of group that into a shopper, right? But let's talk specifically on this. Like, what do we say when they say how much is a crown? What's your thought on that?
I always try to encourage people to give a range because reality is what is, we always talk about, Laura, that was what is good for one patient isn't necessarily right, is good for the other. Diagnosis without evaluation is malpractice, right? So we have to really talk to the patient and let them know that we need you to come in. That's what we're trying to do is get them to come in so that we can have that conversation. But let's be real. There's some people that are pretty indignant on, I want to know how much this is going to cost me. And usually that's a real clue because if they're asking you about pricing and about cost, trigger, they're worried about money,
Mhm.
right? I mean, so really what I encourage people to do is give the low range and then give the higher range. But this is what is absolutely pivotal is to say, Laura, I need you to know that doctor needs to see you because so often this might not even be what you need. And if it is, we're going to figure out how to make this affordable for you. And it could include payment options. It could include insurance. It could include, well, I don't have insurance. Okay, well, Laura, I don't want you to worry about that either because we have a multitude of different ways for our patients to pay us. So let's just get you in and let's find out what's going on. And then collectively, you and I will figure this out together. But don't let that be a concern for you, right?
Okay, so I'm going to pause right now. Anybody who's watching this, do you hear the empathy in her voice? Like, I love how you're doing this because I think so often in the dental office, we get so busy. We don't pause and adapt our tone and our conversation to the patient. And you're meeting the patient where they are by the way you're doing that.
Well, thank you. And that it works because what it says to somebody is that they're not just a number and that you truly care. And when you care about the patient, they know that. And when patients trust you, Laura, trust converts.
Now, you mentioned something I want to go back to because so many times people in the dental office want to give exact information. So you tell exactly how much it is. So you said give a range low level to high level. Now, the one thing I teach about this is we don't know what the patient really needs. So they could need a filling or they could need a implant core crown, whatever, right? Like it could be, so the range isn't like 1,500 to 1,750. You're
No.
saying low high. So talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so subjective. And I always make sure that I tell that to the patient. What I'm saying to you, Laura, is so subjective because what you need versus the patient who I just got off the phone with is two totally different things. And you are you, and I don't want to box you into that. I'm giving you a range because it's what you're asking me to do. And I want to hear you, but I need you to understand that I'm not the doctor. So for me to tell you something that you need, I don't want to do that and be wrong and mislead you. So we really focus in our practice on each patient. And that is everybody's different. And you mean something to us. So
Exactly.
we really want to look at what your needs are. And by the way, Laura, we want to look at your long-term needs too, right? Because let's be real. We want to set a plan so that we can help you achieve your oral health goals and your oral health goals just to sustain your health longevity, right? So this is so much more than just your teeth being pretty, right?
Yep.
This is
And
really
The thing is patients call our office many times, and I usually say they ask one of 2 questions. It's usually, "Do you take my insurance and how much is something?" Right? It might be like, "What are your hours? Do you have weekend hours?" But that's the focus is usually somewhere around insurance and money. And that's because our patients don't know to ask anything else. Like they they don't know to ask, does your doctor have any lawsuits against them? Have they done a lot of CE? Have they, you know, what's your latest greatest technology used in the practice? And so we need to understand when we're handling these financial questions, kind of 2 parts. One is that's just all they know how to ask. How much is something? The second thing is, like you said, that might be a clue that finances are important. And so really focusing on that is
Well, the numbers are indicative of exactly what we're talking about, Laura. 4 out of 10 Americans today, 4 out of 10 Americans can afford $1,000 unexpected purchase. So that's number one. Number two, 53% of patients said the reason that they denied care was affordability. So half of the people that you're talking to, that is their concern. And that's why they're not moving forward with the treatment protocol, because we've gotten really good at marketing. When I started in healthcare, and I think, this is going back a long time, but I mean, it was like I remember there was this plastic surgeon, and he put this little tiny ad in the yellow pages. I mean, it was like an inch kind of thing. He was blackballed because, I mean, that was just like, you just didn't do that, right? But the pendulum has swung 180 degrees in a different direction. We're getting pretty good at bringing patients into the practice. We're pretty good. We're getting a lot better at getting bottoms into the seat. But the momentum stops when we start talking about money because we've never been trained. And we have to change the way we're doing things because we are in retail medicine today. That's just the way it is.
so leaning into that because you have a whole program that helps offices with getting better about the money. Why are you suggesting we don't get into it on the phone? Like our goal is to get the person to show up. So talk about why we're not doing it on the phone versus the more important thing about bringing them in to do it in the office.
We need to, I think we need to go a step farther than that. I think we need to be bringing this to the websites. If I'm, because I call it the 5 touch points. And the first touch point is have a banner on your website that says payment options available. And I'm not talking at the bottom of the website where it's buried, where nobody's really going to look. I'm talking because if 53% of patients are talking about money, and to your point, what are they asking for? Does my insurance
Yep.
involved here, or how much does it cost? Is pretty much the majority of questions you're asked. And that most of these people are concerned about the cost. And don't think just because they drive in a nice car and have a Louis Vuitton purse that that's telling the story, because a lot of times it's not, right? I mean, the guy that's in blue jeans and a t-shirt and he's dirty is often the multimillionaire, right? So we shouldn't assume anything. But when you're talking about getting him in on the phone, I mean, it's absolutely pivotal that we start having these conversations right away and we start addressing these, because we don't even have probably the true statistics about how many patients are even coming into the practice, Laura, because the money conversation wasn't addressed right there.
Right. Right.
So we're trying to create a movement and and change the way that people are really getting comfortable having this conversation, because this isn't about selling anything. This really isn't about selling. It's about access, it's about hope. And the money conversation is the bridge between diagnosis and decision.
Yep. Yep. And that's where I was gonna lead, and you just kinda set it up there with we tend to get in the dental office a little everything just rote, right? We do the same thing every day in and out, and we talk about insurance, we talk about money, we talk about insurance, we talk about money, and we don't put ourselves in the patient's shoes. And so by doing it this way, realizing, like, if you were told, "Oh, it's gonna be anywhere between 1,000 and $3,000, that would set you back, right? Like, that would make you go, "Wait a minute, hold on, do what? How okay, let me think
Well,
about it."
six patients of the 10 that are calling you are coming in just because of that, of that right there, just because it's a
Exactly.
statistic. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So I hope anybody watching this can see where even though Nancy teaches and trains on financial options and all of the things money wise, we started doing this segment together because it's if we're not really truly handling the phones well, we can't help a lot of patients, right? And the way you're doing it, Nancy, I love it. I could almost envision you like putting your arm around the patient, going, "I got you. Like I'm going to help you
That's what
through
it
this
is.
process."
That's exactly what it is, Laura, and we're talking about somebody's house here. We're not talking about buying a swimming pool. We're not talking about buying a new car. We're talking about their health. And now we know there's all these systemic issues. This really is so much bigger. We have such a bigger responsibility, and that responsibility is putting our arm around those patients and really caring for them because it's become almost a missing art in our industry.
I love it. I love it. Well, anything else around giving a range and why that is such a I mean, you already kinda mentioned it. It's somebody who's coming in and saying, "I need to know a price. I need to know a price." They've pushed a little bit because 'cause we're not just trying to avoid it, but we've given them a range to get them to appease them, to move the conversation forward. Do you have anything else on the
You
helping with
know,
that?
because especially when you're dealing with somebody, a patient you've not even seen. I mean, again, so I sometimes would say, and again, this is based on the patient that's on the phone, right? It's a guideline script. It's not a robotic conversation. It's me having a conversation with my dear friend Laura. You having a conversation with me, right? It's the same thing, and that's kind of again, we're trying to build that relationship with a patient, and authentically, by the way. Um, Most of our patients, dentistry usually is costing them between 500 and $5,000. I mean that's what it's boiling down to. Laura, I can't tell you that until you come here. A- And I don't want to mislead you in any way, shape, or form. So let's just get you in and then let's sit down and talk about your personal budget and let's figure this out together because many of our patients opt for the financing options because let's be real, I'd rather go to Macy's too. But it's packed. We got to take care of this. And I try to sometimes throw in a little bit of that humor, but it depends on the patient that I'm talking to. You've got to listen to the person. You've got to be a really proficient listener about the person that you're talking to and meet them where they're at and care about
And on that note, that's where we're gonna end this. I appreciate all of this input that you give, these little tips and suggestions, and we will see you guys next time. Please put in the comments if you have questions for Nancy, you wanna hear more tips and tricks, you have anything, we would love to hear from you, and until next time, Nancy, thank you.
absolutely.